Join me as we explore the extraordinary career of Alfred Hitchcock through the lens of his astrology chart. So stay tuned. Alfred Hitchcock was a cinematic genius and was masterful in creating suspenseful movies. He pushed the boundaries of filmmaking and had a very unique style all his own. Hitchcock helped us to face our shadow nature in the safety of a darkened theater. He was known for his dark subject matter, twist endings, and visual storytelling. His career lasted decades as he was a master craftsman. When we look at his chart, the first thing I notice is not one but two extraordinary kites that bring tremendous talent and open the doors to success. And I included his MC, a powerful career point in the chart. If you believe in reincarnation, then these are talents he's perfected in previous lives that he would reap the rewards for in this one. Hitchcock was born in Leytonstone, London, England in 1899, the youngest of 3 children. He had Moon conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio in the 4th house of home, and he would often tell 2 haunting stories. One where his mother scared him as a baby by saying boo, and when he was 5, his father sent him to a police station with a note requesting the officer to lock him up for 5 minutes. The officer told him that this is what they do to naughty boys, and thus began his fear of the police and his lifelong sensitivity to the man falsely accused. His Moon conjunct Jupiter and his North Node in Sagittarius show a love of travel, and by the age of 8, Hitchcock knew all the transport routes in Leytonstone and claimed to have traveled every route and memorized all the timetables. Hitch loved travel and included scenes from all over the world in his movies, such as French Monaco in To Catch a Thief, New York in Saboteur, San Francisco in Vertigo, and Mount Rushmore in North by Northwest, just to name a few. Hitchcock often used trains, planes, and boats, moving vehicles of travel, for his murder scenes. Hitchcock started working as an advertising artist and landed one of his first jobs for famous players Lasky. He had an exalted Mercury in Virgo, amping up his ability to communicate along with artistic talent, and was hired on the spot designing dialogue cards for silent movies. With Saturn in the 5th, Hitch started reading technical trade magazines and worked his way up the ladder. He needed to know the technical tricks to make the movies he wanted to make, and so learned every detail of the filmmaking process. This discipline led to opportunities for him to do art direction, script writing, and film direction. So, taking a look at his chart again, he had a Leo Ascendant with Sun in the 1st, an indicator for leadership and fame. Hitchcock was the unquestioned authority on all his sets, yet he found a nice camaraderie with an increased ability to lead other men in a movie studio. Venus in Leo is drama-driven, giving him popularity with an innate understanding of the contrasts needed for high drama. He also had Uranus in the 5th house of creativity, showing brilliant originality. His Moon in Scorpio brings a natural sense of mystery, his love for mayhem and the macabre, fear, death, and crimes of passion. Hitch innately understood the psychology of his audience with South Node in the 11th house of large groups. Leo is a natural showman, and he was able to create great cinematic art for large audiences. Hitchcock was very influenced by German expressionist directors such as the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. As a co-director, he worked with different genres, but he hit it big with his 3rd directorial debut and landmark film, The Lodger, in 1928. The Lodger was a dark mystery with a Jack the Ripper plotline. He created one scene where he shot through the floor, a glass ceiling, and he developed the special technique to do this. By the age of 27, he had become London's most celebrated director. He was redefining the thriller, making it a cultural phenomenon. Hitchcock met Alma Reville on set, a film editor herself, and married her in 1926. She became his partner, muse, and closest advisor. Hitch had a strict Roman Catholic upbringing with the belief that sex was primarily for procreation. Now, he had Mars, which is passion, opposite his MC, which is his career point, suggesting that he sublimated a lot of his libido into his film work. His personal frustrations and fantasies became immortalized into his movies. Hitchcock often fell in love with his leading ladies. He notoriously favored beautiful blonde women with a cool, regal exterior. Yellow hair, a noble bearing, and being in the theater are typical Leo characteristics, and Hitchcock had Venus in Leo and was projecting his own personal anima. Hitchcock liked to play with his audience and loved to scare us. He could create complex characters and was able to build the suspense until it was unbearable. His favorite theme was to take an ordinary person and put him in the most extraordinary of circumstances to see how he could get out of danger. Hitchcock made Britain's first talkie, and he was the first to dub a film in Blackmail in 1929, before dubbing was even invented. It was originally shot as a silent film, and Hitchcock had Aries on the MC, which helped him to be quite the pioneer in film. Then there was The 39 Steps in 1935, one of his favorites, where he refined his use of the McGuffin, a unique plot device he created and became known for. Young and Innocent, made in 1937, had a famous scene where the floor falls in, and Hitch constructed the floor 15 feet above the ground in Pinewood's largest studio to get the shot he wanted. Here's a sample of another innovative technique in this movie, utilizing the largest camera crane to do a long shot in a ballroom scene to reveal who the real killer was.
He must be here somewhere.
That excites your dancing feet. I'm right here to tell you, mister, no one can like the drummer man when it comes to doing tricks with a pair of hickory sticks. I'm right here to tell you, sister, no one can like the drummer man. Every man who plays in the band is wonderful too. I've got to give credit where credit is due, but when it comes to make that music up, make you give it all it's got, I'm right here to tell you, mister, no one can like the drummer man.
What sort of twitch is it? Just with one eye?
No, both eyes.
Hitchcock outgrew the limits of English cinema and came to America for greater ability to flex his talents. David O. Selznick recognized his talent and lured him to Hollywood. When Hitch went to Paramount Studios, he found an ideal working situation and proceeded to direct 9 masterpieces. Rebecca was his first American production, and Hitchcock wanted to use each snippet of film, utilizing small details, to create an emotion and a mood. He knew every angle and could even shoot by heart, and he edited the film as he shot it with nothing extra, so it could only be edited one way, his way, much to the distress of Selznick. This was typical of his strong Leo and exacting Virgo personality. Foreign Correspondent was his second American film. Shadow of a Doubt was a drama set in a small town about a teenager and her murderous uncle. Then Lifeboat in 1944. And then Spellbound, where Hitchcock brought Salvador Dali to Hollywood as he understood that movies were the projection of our dream world. Hitchcock wanted to create an emotional experience that would take the viewer to a place they had never been before. Then there was Notorious, starring Miss Ingrid Bergman, when Hitchcock started to fall in love with his leading ladies. The Experimental Rope, with a continuous camera action as long as 10 minutes. Strangers on a Train was the hit he needed to re-energize his career, and then he proceeded to make his string of great successes. In Dial M for Murder, Hitchcock uses important details to give visual clues about the story. Rear Window was a hero crippled with a broken leg who was a voyeur of a suspected murder. In this movie, the camera becomes the audience or the voyeur and eliminates the distance between the performer and the audience. Then there was Vertigo, where Jimmy Stewart played a hero crippled by vertigo. Hitchcock's use of the zoom dolly in this movie was groundbreaking. North by Northwest with Cary Grant as an ad executive and A Case of Mistaken Identity. This movie paved the way for adventure thrillers like James Bond and Indiana Jones. The infamous Psycho, in which Hitch made brilliant PR. He made signs that warned once the movie started you would not be allowed to go into the theater. The movie star was killed off in the first 40 minutes, which had never been done before. This was unprecedented and incredibly successful and changed the habits of American moviegoers. The famous shower scene alone was a sequence made up of more than 70 pieces of film. Then the very haunting The Birds in 1963 with Tippi Hedren. Hitchcock, being the Leo he was, had a small vignette in each movie he made as his personal signature. So, in review, Alfred Hitchcock had Sun in Leo, Ascendant, and also Venus in Leo. And the Venus sign is very important in how a creative artist expresses himself. So Leo is a natural performer with an innate understanding of heightened contrast for dramatic effect. Hitchcock was a natural leader, the complete boss on his sets, and great at assembling strong creative teams. And he loved to play with his audience and described his own films as roller coaster rides. And with Venus and Leo, his heroines were classic Leo-type actresses. The luminaries in a chart are very important, along with the Venus sign, the personal planets creating a tapestry of expression. And Hitchcock had some early frightening experiences that haunted his life, and he had an obsession for mystery, suspense, and mayhem in his most successful films. The moon conjunct Jupiter in the 4th house of home can also be associated with rich and flavorful foods, and Hitchcock said he ate for pleasure. He loved good food, dinner parties, and inviting friends over for the weekend, and the kitchen was a central place for him, and he loved his wife's cooking. This was emphasized with his moon conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter expands what it touches, And Hitchcock wanted to experience all the good things in life. And his famous quote was, "Drama is life with all the dull bits cut out." So his exalted Mercury in Virgo allowed him to be a master of detail and excellent in his communication skills. With the invention of the movies, voices could now be whispers, and gestures could be very subtle. And he was able to create a powerful and unique visual language for moviegoers. Like music, cinema is a universal medium of expression. And Hitchcock was brilliant enough to create his own unique language. He was given an honorable knight, commander of the Order of the British Empire, towards the end of his life, becoming Sir Alfred Hitchcock for his many achievements. He was a universally recognized personality and cinematic celebrity. And thank you all for watching.